Commander Maya Patel stood at the viewport of the EDF Thunderhawk, watching the stars drift by in perfect silence. The stealth systems that had kept humanity hidden for 3 centuries hummed with barely perceptible vibrations beneath her feet. Their time of hiding was about to end, but it would be on humanity's terms. The diplomatic dance. The great hall of the Zenith Collective's diplomatic vessel Eternal Harmony gleamed with bioluminescent crystals, their light reflecting off the sweeping organic architecture that characterized their civilization. Commander Maya Patel fought to keep her expression neutral as she watched High Chancellor Ixal's crystalline appendages shift through a rainbow of colors, a sign of intense emotional turmoil in their species. Impossible, Ixal's translator rendered their harmonic speech into clear English. Your species claims to have been observing us for 3 centuries, yet our sensors have never detected your presence. We are the most advanced civilization in the known galaxy. Admiral James Chen, Earth's chief diplomat for this historic meeting, allowed himself a small smile. With respect, High Chancellor, perhaps you should consider that your definition of advanced might be somewhat limited. He gestured to one of his aides, who activated a holographic display in the center of the hall. The display showed thousands of tiny points of light scattered throughout the galaxy map, each one a hidden human observation post or stealth facility. The Zenith delegation's crystalline bodies flickered with patterns that the human xenologists interpreted as shock and disbelief. But your ships, first speaker Lyra chimed in, her crystalline form vibrating with confusion. They're so primitive. Metallic hulls, chemical propulsion signatures, visible weapon emplacements. What you've seen is exactly what we wanted you to see, Chen replied, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of human preparation. Those vessels are merely the visible tip of a very deep iceberg. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. At his signal, the EDF Thunderhawk, which had been maintaining a respectful distance from the diplomatic gathering, suddenly vanished from all Zenith sensors. Their crystalline control panels erupted with alerts and warnings as the massive human warship simply ceased to exist, as far as their instruments were concerned. The Zenith delegation's color patterns shifted to what humans had learned to recognize as alarm. Multiple appendages reached for control surfaces, and security drones began to emerge from recessed panels in the walls. Chen raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. Please, remain calm. The Thunderhawk hasn't moved, we've simply activated its true stealth systems. The vessel you've been seeing was allowing itself to be detected. Watch. The Thunderhawk reappeared, but now it was different. Gone were the crude metal plates and visible weapon ports. In their place was a seamless dark hull that seemed to drink in light itself, covered in geometric patterns that made the eye want to slide away from it. The ship's true form was a masterpiece of human quantum engineering, as elegant as it was lethal. 300 years ago, Patel took up the narrative, humanity made a choice. When we detected your civilization expanding through the galaxy, we could have revealed ourselves immediately. Instead, we watched. We learned. We developed technologies that your sensors couldn't detect because they operated on principles your science hadn't yet discovered. She activated her own holographic display, showing the true extent of human technological achievement. Quantum tunneling drives that didn't just bend space but rewrote its underlying code. Weapons that didn't fire energy or projectiles but temporarily rewrote the laws of physics in localized areas. Ships that didn't need to be stealthy because they existed in a state of quantum uncertainty until observed. We appear primitive because we choose to appear primitive, Chen continued. Those chemical engines you detected? They're real, but they're not what drives our ships. Those metal hulls? Also real, but they're just the outer layer of something far more sophisticated. We've been preparing for this meeting for generations, ensuring that when we finally revealed ourselves, it would be from a position of strength, but not threat. High Chancellor Ixal's crystalline form had settled into a deep blue hue that the humans recognized as thoughtful consideration. You speak of strength, yet you claim you do not threaten. Your very existence, hidden among us, watching us, developing technologies we cannot detect, is itself a threat. On the contrary, Chen smiled, it's an opportunity. We've watched your civilization grow, seen your achievements, witnessed your commitment to peaceful expansion. We've had 3 centuries to study you, to understand you, to learn how we might best work together. We're not revealing ourselves now because we want conflict, we're revealing ourselves because we believe it's time for partnership. As if to emphasize his point, the Thunderhawk's quantum field rippled, and suddenly the ship was surrounded by a dance of subatomic particles that painted fractal patterns across space itself. It was beautiful, mesmerizing, and utterly beyond anything the Zenith had thought possible. Your civilization has mastered the art of working with the universe as it is, Patel added. We've learned to ask the universe to be something different, if only for a moment. Imagine what we could accomplish together. First speaker Lyra's crystalline form shifted to a color humans hadn't seen before, a complex swirl of patterns that their xenologists would later identify as the Zenith equivalent of excited curiosity. You speak of partnership, yet you begin this relationship with the revelation of centuries of deception. How can we trust such a species? Because we're showing you the truth now, freely and without coercion, Chen answered. We could have continued hiding indefinitely. Instead, we're here, revealing not just our existence but our capabilities. We're trusting you with knowledge that could be used against us, because we believe in the possibility of something greater than either of our civilizations could achieve alone. The diplomatic chamber fell silent as the Zenith delegation communicated among themselves in frequencies beyond human hearing. The security drones had withdrawn, and the initial tension had been replaced by something else, a sense of possibility, of potential. Finally, High Chancellor Ixil spoke again. Your species is either brilliantly careful or terrifyingly clever. Perhaps both. You have given us much to consider. But there is one question you must answer before we proceed: why now? Why choose this moment to reveal yourselves? Chen and Patel exchanged glances. This was the crucial moment they had prepared for. Everything hinged on how they answered this question. Because, Chen said carefully, we've detected something coming. Something that neither of our civilizations can face alone. And we believe the time has come for humanity and the Zenith Collective to face it together. The crystalline forms of the Zenith delegation shifted to deep crimson, a color that needed no translation to convey its meaning: fear. The challenge. The void is bleeding. Admiral James Chen's words hung in the air of the combined fleet's command center as he gestured to the holographic display. Both human and Zenith officers watched as another spatial anomaly tore open the fabric of spacetime, its edges glowing with an impossible purple-black light that shouldn't exist in normal space. 3 weeks had passed since the initial diplomatic contact, and reality itself seemed to be unraveling at the seams. The Zenith Collective's mighty exploration vessel Light of Dawn had disappeared without a trace, along with 2 human stealth ships sent to investigate the first anomaly. Commander Maya Patel stood beside High Chancellor Ixil, both watching as their sensor feeds tracked the spread of these cosmic wounds. Our quantum analysis confirms it, she reported, her voice tight with concern. These aren't natural phenomena. Something, or someone, is systematically weakening the fundamental forces that hold our universe together. Ixil's crystalline form pulsed with deep indigo worry patterns. Our scientists have analyzed the data from 17 different anomalies. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our historical records, yet they bear a disturbing similarity to your quantum tunneling technology. Similar, but twisted, Chen corrected. Our drives create controlled, temporary alterations in spacetime. These. He gestured at the latest sensor reading. These are like someone took our quantum engineering principles and deliberately corrupted them. The command center's atmosphere grew tenser as a junior human officer rushed in, face pale with urgency. Admiral, Commander, we've decoded the last transmission from the Light of Dawn. You need to see this immediately. The holographic display shifted, showing a fragmented video feed. The Zenith ship's interior was bathed in emergency lighting, its crystalline corridors cracking under some unseen strain. The ship's commander, a respected Zenith elder named Vex, appeared in frame. Their usually pristine crystalline form was dulled and fractured. They came through the tears in space, the translation overlay rendered Vex harmonic speech. Not ships, impossible geometries that hurt to look at. They're using our own mass against us, somehow inverting the gravitational constants of local space. Our weapons pass right through them. They're not attacking us, they're changing us. The crew, my crew is. The feed cut to another angle, showing Zenith crew members whose crystalline forms were warping, transforming into shapes that defied Euclidean geometry. Their clear, harmonic communications had devolved into discordant shrieking that made both humans and Zenith in the command center wince. "Quarantine that signal," Chen ordered sharply. "Run every filter we have on it. We can't risk audiomimetic contamination." He turned to Ixil, his expression grave. "Now you understand why we chose this moment to reveal ourselves. We detected the first quantum distortions 6 months ago, at the edge of what you call the void sector." Ixil's form shifted through several complex color patterns before settling on a steely silver of determination. "You believe these entities are targeting both our civilizations. But why? And more importantly, how do we fight an enemy that can rewrite the laws of physics?" Patel stepped forward, activating a secondary display. "By combining our strengths. The Zenith Collective has mastered the art of harmonious resonance with natural laws. Humanity has learned to bend and reshape those laws. Together, we might be able to create something new, a way to stabilize spacetime itself against these intrusions." "A quantum harmonic barrier," Chen elaborated. "Your crystalline technology provides the perfect medium for our quantum manipulation techniques. We've already begun preliminary tests." A violent tremor shook the command center, cutting him off. Warning signals blared as sensors detected a massive spatial distortion forming directly ahead of the combined fleet. The tear in spacetime was larger than any they'd seen before, its edges writhing with that same sickly purple-black radiance. Multiple contacts emerging, a Zenith sensor officer chimed, their crystalline form vibrating with tension. "Energy signatures are impossible to categorize. They're everywhere and nowhere simultaneously." Through the command center's viewport, they watched as things emerged from the spatial tear. They weren't ships in any conventional sense, they were violations of reality-given form, geometric patterns that shouldn't be able to exist in three-dimensional space, trailing tendrils of corrupted quantum probability. "All ships, battle stations," Chen commanded, his voice steady despite the existential horror unfolding before them. "Execute Protocol Quantum Shield. Zenith vessels, begin harmonic resonance sequence. Human ships, prepare to activate quantum stabilization fields." Patel watched as the combined fleet moved into formation. Human stealth ships dropped their camouflage, revealing their true forms, while Zenith vessels began to emit a complex web of crystalline energy that connected ship to ship. They had trained for this, run countless simulations, but this would be the first real test of whether their civilizations could truly work together. "They're accelerating," a human tactical officer reported. "Spatial distortions increasing. Sir, they're trying to establish a quantum lock on our ships." "Not today," Chen growled. "Humanity didn't hide for 3 centuries to fall to the first extradimensional horror we encountered. Commander Patel, you have tactical command of the human contingent. High Chancellor, if you would do us the honor of commanding your forces." Ixil's form blazed with brilliant white light, the zenith color of absolute commitment. "The collective stands ready. Let us show these entities what happens when they threaten not one civilization, but 2. The void between stars became a battlefield as human quantum technology and zenith crystalline harmonics clashed with impossible geometries and corrupted physics. It was a battle not just for survival, but for the very nature of reality itself. And as Commander Patel gave the order to engage, she couldn't help but wonder if this was what humanity had been preparing for all along, not just first contact with the zenith, but first combat with something far older and more terrible than either of their civilizations had imagined. The storm. The battle had been raging for 6 hours, and reality itself was beginning to fray at the edges. Commander Maya Patel watched from the Thunderhawk's quantum-shielded bridge as another human vessel, the Defiant, executed a perfect quantum tunnel maneuver, appearing simultaneously at 12 different points in space, each version firing modified gravity weapons at the geometric horror trying to corrupt a Zenith crystal ship. Status report. Admiral Chen's voice crackled through the quantum-encrypted comm channel. The Admiral's flagship, now serving as the combined fleet's command center, had sustained heavy damage in the initial engagement but remained operational. The quantum harmonic barrier is holding at 67% efficiency, Patel reported, scanning the tactical displays. We've lost 4 human ships and 3 Zenith vessels, but their crews managed to evacuate through emergency quantum tunnels. The enemy. She hesitated, searching for the right words. The enemy appears to be learning. Indeed, the impossible shapes emerging from the void were adapting to their defensive strategies. What had started as chaotic alien geometries were now taking on more organized forms, corrupted mirrors of both human and Zenith vessel designs. It was as if they were absorbing the combined fleet's tactics and turning them back against their creators. High Chancellor Ixel's harmonic voice joined the channel. Our crystalline resonance patterns are detecting something disturbing. These entities, they're not just copying our forms. They're trying to access our fundamental frequencies. The very vibrations that make us what we are. A massive explosion lit up the battlefield as one of the Zenith's smaller scout ships detonated its crystalline core rather than succumb to the enemy's corruption. The blast created a temporary bubble of pure, stabilized spacetime, a moment of clarity in the chaos that revealed something crucial. There. Patel highlighted the sensor data and transmitted it to both Chen and Ixel. Did you see it? When that crystal core detonated, it forced one of the entities to maintain a single quantum state. Just for a microsecond, but... We saw it, Chen confirmed, his voice tight with controlled excitement. These things aren't extra-dimensional entities at all. They're weapons. Automated quantum corruption devices left behind by something else. Something that came before. The tactical display suddenly blazed with new warnings as the largest spatial tear yet began to form. This one was different, organized, geometric, almost beautiful in its terrible precision. Through it emerged something that dwarfed all the previous entities. A massive construction that seemed to be built from fragments of stolen spacetime itself. By the resonant harmonies, Ixel's crystalline form pulsed with shock patterns. It's a ship. A ship built by whoever created these weapons. Admiral Chen, Commander Patel, our long-range sensors are detecting quantum signatures similar to your tunneling technology, but orders of magnitude more advanced. Patel's tactical systems were screaming warnings as they tried to analyze the impossible vessel. It's not just similar to our technology, she realized with growing horror. It's the same underlying principles, but evolved over what must be millions of years. These aren't weapons left behind by some ancient race. They're automated sentries, and we just triggered a response from their creators. The massive vessel began broadcasting on all frequencies, in all known languages, and several that neither humanity nor the Zenith had ever encountered. The message was simple but terrifying: quarantine protocol activated. Indigenous species utilizing forbidden quantum manipulation detected. Sterilization authorized. Like hell, Chen growled. All ships, execute formation Delta 7. Concentrate fire on these coordinates. Commander Patel, prepare to activate the quantum resonance cascade. High Chancellor, we need your ships to. He never finished the order. The ancient vessel released a pulse of energy that twisted space itself into a new configuration. Human quantum drives screamed in protest as their carefully maintained probability fields were forcibly collapsed. Zenith crystalline hulls began to crack as their harmonic frequencies were disrupted. But in that moment of apparent defeat, something unexpected happened. The quantum corruption that should have torn both fleets apart instead created a bizarre synchronization. Human quantum fields and zenith harmonic resonances didn't collapse, they merged. The very attack meant to destroy them had forced an impossible adaptation. "Admiral," Patel called out, her voice filled with wonder as she watched the sensor readings. "Our quantum fields, they're synchronizing with the zenith crystalline matrices. The enemy's attack, it's forcing our technologies to evolve together. To become something new." Through the quantum encrypted channels, she could hear the excitement in Ixil's harmonic tones. "Yes. The corruption is trying to break down the barriers between our technologies, but instead, it's creating a bridge. A perfect fusion of quantum manipulation and harmonic resonance." The combined fleet's ships began to glow with a new kind of energy, not the clean lines of human quantum fields or the elegant crystalline patterns of zenith technology, but something that partook of both and transcended them. Ships that had been damaged began to repair themselves using principles that shouldn't have been possible, their hulls shifting between states of matter in perfect crystalline harmony. "All ships," Chen's voice carried a note of fierce pride. "Prepare to execute Protocol Unity. Let's show these ancient ones why picking a fight with two young, innovative species might have been a tactical error." As the massive ancient vessel prepared to fire again, the combined human zenith fleet began to move in perfect synchronization. They had started this battle as two separate forces fighting together. They would end it as something entirely new, a hybrid fleet that represented the next step in the evolution of both their species. The storm of battle was about to reach its peak, and the fate of both civilizations hung in the balance. But for the first time since the fighting began, Commander Maya Patel allowed herself to feel something close to hope. Sometimes, she realized, the greatest discoveries came not from careful planning, but from being forced to adapt in the face of extinction. The new dawn. The ancient vessel hung in space like a wound in reality, its impossible geometries reflecting the light of 1,000 dying stars. But the combined fleet that faced it was no longer the same force that had entered battle hours ago. Each ship now pulsed with a new kind of energy, quantum crystalline matrices that defied the very laws of physics they had been created to enforce. Commander Maya Patel stood on the Thunderhawk's bridge, watching as streams of data flowed through newly formed crystalline interfaces. The ship's quantum core had somehow merged with zenith harmonic technology, creating something that their sensors couldn't even properly measure. Around her, the bridge crew worked in perfect synchronization with their zenith counterparts, linked through a network that was part technology, part crystalline resonance, and part quantum entanglement. "Analysis complete," she announced, her voice carrying through the new quantum harmonic communications network to every ship in the fleet. "The ancient vessel, it's not just a ship. It's a focal point for the quantum corruption field. A linchpin holding reality in its current configuration." "Agreed," High Chancellor Ixil's harmonic tones resonated through the crystalline interfaces. Their form, now partially quantum-phased, shimmered with patterns that both human and zenith crew members could somehow understand instinctively. "They're not just enforcing their laws of physics. They're enforcing their version of evolution itself." Admiral Chen's voice joined the symphony of communication. "They left these automated sentries behind to ensure no other species could develop beyond their prescribed limits. The quantum corruption weapons weren't meant to destroy us, they were meant to force us to devolve, to lose our grasp on higher physical laws." The ancient vessel fired again, but this time the combined fleet was ready. Ships moved in impossible patterns, their hybrid technologies allowing them to exist in multiple quantum states while maintaining perfect crystalline harmony. What should have been a devastating attack instead flowed through and around them, transformed by their adaptive defenses into pure energy. They never considered this possibility, Patel realized, watching as the tactical displays showed their ships absorbing and transforming the enemy's energy. They were so focused on preventing species from advancing that they never imagined two different civilizations might combine their technologies in response to the threat. Through the quantum crystalline network, she could feel the excitement building among both human and zenith crews as they realized the same thing. The Ancient One's weapons of control had instead become a catalyst for unprecedented advancement. All ships, Chen's order resonated through the network, carried by both quantum fields and crystalline harmonics. Execute final protocol unity. Show them what evolution really looks like. The combined fleet moved as one organism, each ship simultaneously occupying multiple quantum states while maintaining crystalline resonance. The effect was like a dance of probability in harmony, creating patterns in spacetime that even the ancient vessel's sensors couldn't properly track. The Thunderhawk led the formation, its hybrid systems pushing the boundaries of what should have been possible. Patel felt the ship respond to her commands not through traditional controls, but through a direct quantum crystalline interface that had formed between crew and vessel. "They're charging their main weapon," a Zenith sensor officer reported, their crystalline form pulsing with anticipation rather than fear. "Energy readings are beyond anything we've previously recorded." "Perfect," Chen's voice carried a note of fierce joy. "That's exactly what we need. Commander Patel, High Chancellor, initiate the resonance cascade." The ancient vessel fired, releasing a beam of pure quantum corruption that should have unraveled the very fabric of spacetime. But as it struck the combined fleet's formation, something extraordinary happened. The hybrid ships didn't just resist the corruption, they caught it, channeled it, transformed it through their quantum crystalline matrices. "Now!" Patel commanded, and the fleet responded as one. Every ship activated its hybrid systems simultaneously, creating a feedback loop of quantum probability and crystalline harmony that encompassed the entire battlefield. The ancient vessel's own weapon became its undoing as the combined fleet turned its power back upon itself, amplified and transformed by their newfound unity. Space itself seemed to hold its breath for a moment. Then reality shifted. The ancient vessel's impossible geometries began to break down, not into chaos, but into new patterns that reflected the hybrid nature of the forces arrayed against it. Its quantum corruption field, designed to enforce stagnation, instead became a catalyst for change. "They're trying to retreat," Ixo reported, their crystalline form blazing with triumph. "Their quantum signatures are destabilizing." "Not retreating," Chen corrected, transforming. "Just like we did. Look." The ancient vessel's form was shifting, its rigid geometries flowing into new configurations that somehow incorporated both quantum uncertainty and crystalline harmony. The weapons of corruption were becoming tools of creation. As the transformation completed, the vessel's broadcasts changed. Gone were the threats of quarantine and sterilization. Instead, it began transmitting data, vast archives of knowledge and technology, freely given. "They evolved," Patel breathed in wonder. "We forced them to adapt, just as they forced us to adapt. And in doing so, we broke the cycle," Ixo completed the thought. "Their weapons were meant to prevent evolution, but instead, they became the catalyst for the next step in all our developments." The battlefield fell silent as the ancient vessel completed its transformation. What remained was something new, a bridge between what was and what could be. The combined fleet held position, their hybrid ships humming with power that represented not just the fusion of two technologies, but the birth of an entirely new way of understanding reality itself. Admiral Chen's voice carried across the quantum crystalline network one final time. "Send word to both our civilizations. The age of separation is over. We faced extinction and instead found transcendence. And now." He paused, looking out at the transformed battlefield where enemies had become teachers. "Now the real journey begins." Commander Maya Patel stood at her hybrid controls, watching as the first ships from both human and Zenith space began arriving to witness what had occurred. She could feel the quantum crystalline network expanding, ready to share their discovery with both civilizations. The silent stars weren't silent anymore, they were singing with possibilities. The storm had passed, but its effects would ripple through the galaxy forever. Humanity and the Zenith had entered the battle as two separate species fighting for survival. They emerged as something more, pioneers of a new age where the boundaries between quantum uncertainty and crystalline harmony, between adaptation and stability, between self and other, had been forever transformed. And in the depths of space, the Ancient One's transformed vessel waited, ready to share the knowledge of 1,000,000,000 years with those who had proven themselves worthy not by standing still, but by daring to change.